And we are live.
Can we talk about the F word right up front, Stu? I want to use the F word.
Sure, Mr. Pickles.
I don't want to talk about the F word just yet. We're going to give the folks a chance to show up.
Yeah, we should.
Interestingly enough, I think I'm fixated on the pickle now, like I was with the unicorn. And it's, I don't know. I'm not going to be a singer.
But the unicorn, I don't know. I just like Mr. Pickles better than the unicorn. Maybe I'm going through a midlife crisis.
Maybe unicorns just getting old.
Yeah, I don't think so. They're immortal, Stu.
Oh, forgot.
There you go. All right. So, welcome everybody to the Jim and Stu Show and the Sales Copywriting Content Marketing Hacks podcast. How are you, Stu?
I'm good, thanks. Moving along.
Moving right
with the week. It's already Wednesday. Quite productive.
He says, has Stu lost weight, or do you just have better lighting?
I'm always trying to lose weight. Or I should say, I'm not trying to gain weight.
Okay, well, most people don't try to gain weight unless they're trying to bulk up.
Right. But it's real easy. It's real easy to gain weight when you don't think about it. That's the problem. So I have to be thinking about it now. I always tell people this, especially after 40 years old, you can't outwork your diet anymore. So now it has to be a conscious part of your daily thinking. Like, I really don't need that cookie.
And exercise.
Yes. Requires both.
I don't have an eating disorder. I have a math disorder. Because I calculate how many calories in that cookie and how many burpees or how far I'd have to run to burn that thing off.
Yep, I do that a lot.
There you go.
Do I really want to walk 20 minutes to burn off 100 calories of cookie?
What happens if you eat the cookie while you're walking? Is that okay?
I guess that'd be a net zero. And you'd enjoy it.
That's right.
Without guilt.
There you go.
Guilt-free cookie.
So today, for the Jim and Stu show, Stu had the idea and I liked it because I haven't used this in a little while. It's funny. My favorite wizard is the wizard I'm working on or I just made. And then I make a cool wizard and then I don't come back to it. But Stu's like, hey, man, I'm still using this wizard and it's getting great results. Tell everybody what you did with the quote wizard.
Yeah, you know what? I was looking through all the different wizards because there are so many. Right. And it's sometimes overwhelming. But if you go in there with a set focus of, okay, here's what I want to do, which one's going to work best for me. And so I just started playing with them and just inserted what Jim has already made for you as an example and built it. And I was like, yeah, that's not quite it. That's not quite. Oh, I'll save that for later. I really like that idea. And then I found one with the quote wizard. And what I did is I put a testimonial into the quote wizard and worked an article around the quote.
Yeah. I never thought about doing that. I never thought about using the quote wizard with the testimonial. So do you want to show what you did? Just show everybody real quick.
I can.
And while you're sharing your screen, I'll say hi to everybody. What's up, Frank, Peter, Sanjay, Paul, Gordon, Kim, Lori already asked if you. She's so nice because I would have said, hey, is Stu gaining weight? And that would have been mean.
How do I share? I'm like, what the heck?
Ray says hi. Hey, Ray.
Can you see my screen?
No, you got to go down to share screen.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not.
Okay, share screen.
Yeah.
I just clicked it. Now it just shows a bunch of crazy little screens going on.
Yeah, you got to choose one.
Choose one. Okay, well, I'll share that one. Is that better?
Yeah. Now navigate to.
Is that
there
better?
You go. You did it. Yeah.
Oh, you can see it?
Yeah. In charge of $1 million weapon systems, but having trouble sharing screen.
It's just different than Zoom. Zoom is.
I know. You can click the little hide thing down there too, so we don't have to see the stop sharing thing.
Oh, okay.
No, not.
Okay.
Nice work.
All right.
Let's
See
try
if I
this
get this.
again.
Okay, I'll do this again. All right. I'm figuring it out and hide. And
Okay.
boom. Is that better?
Yes. Good job. All
So you
right.
can see. Okay.
Now you want to zoom in just a little bit.
I will zoom in.
Zoom in your screen a little bit because I thought this was great. There you go.
So
Okay.
what I did, I actually used one of the title art wizards as well to come up with this little gem. Time tested and proven resource every aspiring spec ops candidate needs to know. And all it was me talking about, when you're preparing for something, what is a proven resource that has stood the test of time every spec ops candidate needs to know. And it's me. Right. So I come down here and it's this quote from this active duty SEAL that I thought I would share it. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, I've been in the teams, just finished my 4th deployment. Just want to say thanks, for what you do, your big influence on what I do. So then it was like, here's something you need to realize. And the wizard actually helped me kind of guide my thought process to do this, is that we all started off as a beginner at some point in our training, and we went through that journey the same as you're going through that journey, and here's what we did. I just give some advice on: first, do this, assess yourself; second, get on a program. One more thing, don't forget about, you got to get to the training and through the training, and then it's just a little bit of an ad afterwards. So really good. Like it blew up that for the day it was up on my story, and then I put it up on Facebook, and I haven't what do you call it when you make it an ad? Boosted it. Yeah, I haven't boosted it yet, but I probably will boost it today just to try it out.
Just thinking about your target audience and all these guys that you have had come through your training pipeline. I mean, you even have guys now that have retired.
I know.
You got retired SEALs that you trained when they were pre-frogmen.
Yeah. Back in the 90s.
Do you keep in touch with any of the guys who are in the teams now?
Oh yeah. They come back to visit. I mean, cool thing about when local kids come to train with me is that when they come home for leave to see their parents, and friends and stuff, when they come home, they always stop by and work out. And Christmas is always fun because there's always like 5 or 6 active duty guys working out with all these wannabes. Right. And it's pretty powerful.
Is there anything you could do with those guys to create content for the wannabes with the guys who are already in the teams, or is that like top secret stuff and they're not allowed to talk about things? Or
I don't know. A lot of the guys come back and they really have a cool attitude of paying it forward. So they want to come back and help mentor, so they do that kind of on their own individually, but to do it as part of anything bigger in the business, I don't think I could do that. Just keep them quiet with what they do. But they share their email with the group and say, hey, if you got questions, just ask.
But I mean, that might be something you could do, is get them to share some stuff with you in email, and then you could do just what you just did with this quote.
Yes.
And sharing experiences, and hey, I wish I had done this. I send them all a questionnaire like, looking back, what do you wish you'd done more of? What do you wish you'd done less of? Where did you have to really dig in, and where were you seeing other people struggling where you weren't because of the foundation that you had built? I think if you could get some profiles like that, you wouldn't have to use their names, but I think that would be really, really helpful for the new guys, younger guys.
I would agree. I'm working on one right now where it's basically answering a question of, how can I give myself that slight edge that I need in a program that is 80% attrition rate? What is that, so I'm working on that right now, playing around with some wizards to formulate
Cool.
that. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use the quote wizard or something. Probably the listicle, because it's a good way for me to do several different items that that person needs to make a
well, let's use
list.
let's use one of these, and let's use the quote wizard, because I want everybody to see what's up with that. And I got to grab one thing and then I'll show it, because I had grabbed a quote that I really liked from Napoleon Hill, and I just don't want to show everybody my email. So here we are again. So for those of you who don't know, this is inside of Easy Online Wizards, which is part of the Jim Edwards Method Premium. This is the quote excerpt wizard. I don't know why it still says beta, because it ain't in beta anymore. I need to go in and take that out. But what this does is it helps you create content around a quote. Most people just use a quote and they think, oh, I put up a quote. I did my thing today. And it's no, you can do a little bit better. No, I made a quote card. I went to Fiverr, paid to make $5, make a quote card. I'm gonna get rich. So let's do this real quick and show what we're doing. So who would be our target audience for this? Just entrepreneur? Yeah, why not?
Sure. Can you expand it, make it a little bigger?
Expand what?
Like I can't see. It's just maybe I can expand my own. I guess I could do that.
That's about as big as I can make it there, Stu.
Oh yeah. I'll just make my screen bigger. That's all.
Okay. So the quote that I want to use is and you're not supposed to include the quote marks, but is fears are nothing more than a state of mind. And I got that from Napoleon Hill from his book, The Law of Success. So the thing that we want to talk about here, related to this, what would we want to push? Like confidence, increased self-confidence. What would be their focus here that this would tie in with? Self-improvement.
So
my ideal
target audience is the entrepreneur.
Right.
And what's the ideal customer's
main focus that we're going to talk about here is self-improvement.
Yeah, I would say that.
All right. And the big payoff is my ideal customer wants to know how to feel more confident in any situation, or in a sale. How about in any sales situation?
I like that.
And what's a big pain you'll show them how to avoid with this quote? I'll show you how to get that payoff, feel more confident in any situation without feeling or being scared of rejection. I mean, that's the big thing. Feeling rejection or being scared. What do you think? Being scared of rejection, feeling.
Yeah, I think scared's a good one to use.
Okay. Being scared of rejection.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. I can always fix it. Okay, so that's the quote.
Scared of, yeah.
Hit the Control Z instead of Control X, so that's why it disappeared. This quote is by Napoleon Hill. This is from his book. His book, Law of Success. And this person is relevant to my target audience because he is one of the original self-help authors in the world. In fact, most people have read his most famous book. You know what his most famous book was, Napoleon Hill? Please, God, know what it is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Think and Grow Rich. Have you ever read that?
I have not.
You have never read Think and Grow Rich?
I have not. Sorry.
Okay, well, I know what your Christmas present is from me.
Well, thank you.
That's like the original. In fact, in the Q&A and in the comments, How many of you have read Think and Grow Rich at least once? All right, so now we're going to get into what's the big idea as you see it behind this quote. So fear is nothing more than a state of mind. So to me, the big idea behind this quote is that fear is created within you. If fear is an emotion, and as an emotion, it can be, what would we say about
Can be
it can be replaced, it can be diminished,
can be crippling.
yeah. Well, but we want to, we're
Yeah,
trying to
I
tell,
got you.
as an emotion can be replaced, diminished, or eliminated if you know what to do. See, everybody else has read the book, Stu.
Dang.
Yeah, you need to read that book. Yes, I'll especially want to hear your thoughts on the chapter on sex transmutation. Think of me when you read that. No, don't think of me when you read that book.
Okay.
I said that wrong. So how does this quote excerpt apply to your target audience? How can they use this? So what would you say, Stu? Fear is nothing more than a state of mind. If you're
Well, for me, yeah, maybe you can pull something out of this. You got to reframe your fear and move forward versus freezing and being scared. Fear and failure are good. They are both learning experiences if you don't let them get you down and stop you in your tracks. That is how I kind of reframe it in my head. I think of fear of failure is huge, and failure itself is a learning experience. So you shouldn't fear learning experiences, right? There are opportunities to grow. So then it kind of erases the whole fear. So anyway, that's kind of how it is moving around in my brain right now.
okay. Fear often indicates an opportunity to grow. It's right around the corner. All right, we'll just play with this a little bit, but what would you say, or what are your ideal customers' action steps from this? So what would be, to me, when it comes to fear, step one, name the fear.
Name it and tame it.
What is it? Step two is tame the fear by facing it and having a plan. And then step three, reframe the fear, turn it into fuel. Okay, so what would we want them to do next? And then, so, because actually what we're doing here is we're creating, when you see it, the way I look at this is creating something that's an outline for a quick talk, like a letting the chickens out with Jim video. Stu thinks of it in terms of, hey, let me turn this into an article. So It's just interesting our different perspectives on this. So, I'd like to invite you to, check out do you have a book on fear or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
But anyway, what I did is I just had them check out another article that I had written.
Okay. And I relearned this lesson the other day. Make sure you save your project.
Before you build it.
Yeah, before you leave.
Yep. I screwed up and I built it immediately, cut and pasted it, put it in my Word, and then I forgot about it and forgot to save it.
Okay. So if I was going to do this as a quick presentation, okay, literally, this could be a blog post just as it is right here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So time me real quick. Here we go. Fears are nothing more than a state of mind. So says Napoleon Hill. And actually, this is a quote from Napoleon Hill's book, The Law of Success. Now, for those of you who don't know, Napoleon Hill, he's actually one of the original self-help authors in the world. In fact, most people, except for my buddy Stu, have read his famous book, Think and Grow Rich. Now, the big idea here from this quote, fears are nothing more than a state of mind, is that fear is created within you. Fear is an emotion. And as an emotion, it can be replaced, it can be diminished, it can be eliminated if you know what to do. So here's how this quote applies to us when it comes to self-improvement. If you're feeling fear, first, you just need to recognize that it's a fear. A lot of times, if you can just recognize that you're in a state of fear and analyze it for a few seconds, you'll realize that there's nothing to be afraid of, or that you actually do have things under control. Next, you have to find a way to reframe your fear and turn it into fuel. What does that mean? Well, when you conquer your fear, now, instead of it stopping you, it can propel you forward. For example, I used to have a fear of swimming, but I jumped in the pool, I learned how to swim, and now I feel very confident anytime I'm in a swimming situation that I can handle myself. Fear can actually be a good thing because it can help keep you on the right track or get you back on track, because it's a warning sign. And fear really indicates often that there's an opportunity to grow right around the corner, because if you're afraid, you're apprehensive, you're paying attention. So let's put this into action. Step 1, name the fear. What is it? Step 2, tame the fear. And you tame the fear by facing it and developing a plan. And third, reframe that fear into something that empowers you. Turn it into fuel. Oh, and before I forget, if you want to know how to really make this work for you, don't lose a single minute. Head on over to check out the Sales Copywriting and Content Marketing podcast at jimedwardsmethod.com/podcast. Among other things, all these great lessons will make it easy for you to feel more confident in any sales situation and never feel scared of rejection. I'm Jim Edwards. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. How long was that? Like 3.5 minutes?
2.5.
Okay. So
Nice.
you guys tell me in the quotes, now I've got quote on the brain. You guys tell me in the comments, would that have been a good letting the chickens out with Jim video? I did have a chicken with me too. So what do you think? Was that decent? Was that a decent amount of content?
That was really good.
And
Really
I think the whole thing from start to finish, from us typing that thing up and me delivering that video, dude, that couldn't have been more than 15 minutes total.
Not even. Yeah.
So, and that was truly off the cuff. One thing just to show everybody real quick. Besides having this output right here, it creates some hooks for you that you can use. It also, when you click, you can get it as a docx file. So if you wanted to print this off, which I often do, I will print this off and tape it to the bottom of my phone when I'm doing stuff out with the chickens. But here it is. So you could just literally could print this off. I also will sometimes grab this as a PowerPoint slide deck. And so if you were scared about having your face on there or something, then you could just deliver this as a PowerPoint. And again, it's 2, 3, 4 minutes worth of content, depending on how much you want to talk. And I mean, how can you go wrong? How could you go wrong?
That's really good.
So
it's a really good one.
Vicky says very effective. Lori says, wow, yes, 100%. Hello, Stasha. Is that how you say that? Stasha? And Kim says it'd be perfect one for laying the chickens out with Jim. But since I didn't do laying the chickens out with Jim I did do laying the chickens out with Jim this morning. I had a busy morning, Stu, as we wrap this up. I actually this morning did an entire perfect webinar. I wrote sales copy for Funnel Fridays. I went to the hardware store and bought a new latch lock for the front door, replaced that, and did my workout this morning.
Dang, that is busy.
Yeah,
Before 9:30.
before 9:30. Like the
Nice.
old
Yeah,
Army ad.
I worked out. I wrote an article and a letter of recommendation, and then prepared for this.
Nice. So, guys, that's really how you use a quote. I'm not saying you can't use a quote and make it into a meme and all this other stuff, because you actually could take a quote, make a meme, and then link from that post with that meme over to your article. So I'm just saying, this is how you take everybody. I mean, everybody's like goes through a quote kick at some point in their content marketing thing. They're like, oh, that's a great quote. Let me use that. And I put it up and I get like 10 or 15 likes, and
Jim, I think you just froze on us. You good?
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, okay. Where did I leave off?
Everybody's happy.
Nah, my point is that jerking around with quotes is fine, but it's like selling somebody a single French fry. If you then take the quote and do what we just did, then it elevates you to a higher status. It, in some cases, puts you on the same level as the person you're quoting, because you're analyzing their quote. You're creating and providing value, which is what you want to do. And again, thinking in terms of creating a funnel for stuff, you create this quote content, right? And I think I glossed over this, and I don't want to do that because this is pretty cool and powerful. I said, hey, it makes some quotes for you. All right. It makes some hooks. This makes some really cool hooks. All right. How to feel more confident in any sales situation without feeling scared of rejection. That's a really good hook to then use to get people over to your content, whether you do it as an article or you do it as a video, a blog post. You could even do this. I mean, I could turn this into a podcast episode. Easy. This easily could be an outline for a podcast episode. How every entrepreneur can avoid feeling scared of rejection. I guarantee you that would get clicks over to something. So there's tons of stuff.
Yeah, this is where I got the title for the article I made. You know, right from the same wizard.
All right. Napoleon Hill can help every entrepreneur avoid feeling scared of rejection. That's a good one. In his book, Law of Success, Napoleon Hill reveals the secret to feel more confident in any sales situation. I mean, these are really good hooks that you could use to get people over to your content. So this is one of the, this is a very useful wizard. I'm not going to say this is one of my best wizards because they're all awesome, but this one will do a lot for you.
Telling you, put a testimonial in it. Try it with a testimonial and see what happens.
There you go. Kim says, I'm going to use this quote wizard for a short video for my vitamin funnel. I have a quote in mind. Thanks so much. Awesome. Okay. So
we could talk Jim into making a testimonial wizard. How you use testimonial as content.
I have a testimonial wizard and a case study script, a testimonial script and a case study script inside of funnel scripts.
Got it.
So we have that. It's just, it's in funnel scripts. It's not in Jim Edwards Method Premium.
Gotcha.
Got it. Are we ready for our podcast?
Yes.
So this is episode 94, and we're going to talk about the F word.
Yep, we're dropping the F-bomb today.
We're dropping F-bombs. Stasha asks, sorry, I missed the beginning. Where's this wizard? It's inside of the Jim Edwards Method Premium. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, Jim Edwards here, and welcome back to the Sales Copywriting and Content Marketing Hacks podcast. I'm your host, Jim Edwards, along with my trusty podcast producer and co-host, Mr. Stu Smith. Welcome, Stu.
Thank you, Jim.
And today we are going to be dropping the F word from our lives. The F word. It's something that is on everybody's mind at least 15 or 20 times a day. It causes the breakup of marriages. It causes people to avoid opportunities. It causes people to cower in their basements sometimes as well. And it's all around us. It can cripple us if we let it. The F word, fear.
Mm.
And you were thinking another F word, and I'm shocked, Stu, as a former Navy man.
Well, that other F word does just about all the same things too.
Mouth like a sailor. Yes, the F word, it can be a noun, an adjective, it can be a preposition, it can be an adverb, the object, an exclamatory. It can be all those things, all in a single sentence. I'll tell it to you.
And sometimes you won't be able to understand some Navy personnel if they don't use it. If you took it out of their sentence, the sentence would not make sense.
They lose all conjunctions. So, but in seriousness, today we want to talk about fear a little bit. And where did the idea to talk about fear come from? Was it from another letting the chickens out with Jim video? Or
I look in the Facebook group for ideas first. If I don't have an idea myself, I look in there, maybe just get some inspiration on what people are asking questions about, where a lot of the people are focusing on discussions. And this was just happened to be a letting the chickens out with Jim, and it caught my attention. When you say the F bomb or F word in your hook, it grabs you. It does grab you. So I was like, oh, let's listen to this, see what this is all about. And I was like, something that we all know well. We've all feared something. We've all gotten over fears, and we know the great feeling that builds in a person.
Sure.
So I think it's a good one to discuss. And I don't think it's all bad. I think fear is just a survival skill. That's going to keep you from hurting yourself. But
sometimes,
at the same times, it can be misused.
It can limit you and hold you back.
Yes, absolutely.
And so for me at least, and I'll be curious in your realm, what the number one fear is, or the number one fears are. But in sales and copywriting, the fears that I see consistently with people are fear of rejection, fear of people not liking you anymore, fear of people yelling at you, fear of people actively attacking you because you're trying to sell, even if it's with sales copy, fear of wasting time, fear of wasting money, fear of looking stupid or making a mistake. So it's just the fear of not being perfect on the first try, which is impossible. Yeah. But yet people that fear is definitely there. So I think those are the main fears when it comes to sales copy: fear of not measuring up in some way. And I would be curious, for those of you who are here live with us, what would you say when it comes to sales and sales copy and marketing? What would you say is a fear that you either experience or you see other people experiencing? I would be, other than the ones or in, just reaffirming the ones that I said. When it comes to that, what are fears? So I remember when I first got out of school, I quit or got fired from 7 different jobs in 18 months. All of them were sales jobs, with the exception of driving for Domino's, which was like the best job that I could get, the most consistent money that I could make. Because at 21, it's real hard to sell life insurance and investment. Yeah. It's tough. Then I tried to sell these things called trunk radios that were basically early versions of cell phones, but cell phones were just coming out. So that was a dead end. That just wasn't good. I mean, I learned a lot and I sold. I did telemarketing for a discount buyers club. I sold weight loss for Nutrisystem. I was an assistant center manager for them. Let's see. I'm trying to. I mean, I sold grave plots door to door, which that's a dead end business, man.
Ah,
That's you think about how hard it is to walk up and knock on somebody's door and try and convince them to buy a grave plot if they're not dead yet.
yeah, it's a hard one.
I sold money. The best one I got was after about 18 months, 2 years out. I went to work for a mortgage company, and I took all that stuff that I had learned, little bits here and there, and put it all together and figured it out. So the thing that I somehow along the way was so scared of rejection that when I called people on the phone, even though I was trying to sell them something, I would say, "I'm not trying to sell you anything," which showed that I was afraid of the rejection. And I remember that, but then somewhere just through repetition and experience, I got over it. Where I could walk in, I became a fundraiser for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Williamsburg, and I'd walk into any business and ask for money because I believed in the cause. And I started seeing that, if I believed in the product and I knew who the target audience was, and I knew what the pitch was, and I knew what the reason would be that they would actually do what I wanted them to do, it would work out. It was okay. Like if they said no, it didn't have anything to do with me. And I think where the switch finally flipped for me was when I was working for Domino's. I needed every hour I could get. I needed every tip that I could get. And back in the late 90s, or excuse me, the late 80s, early 90s, in case nobody remembers, we actually were going through a recession then, and there was relatively high unemployment. And so I came up with the idea we called it hawking pies. And I needed the hours, and they were sending people home. And I told the manager, I said, "Okay, dude, I want you to make me 5 medium pizzas. And if I can sell these medium pizzas for $5 a piece, and I can do at least 5 an hour, will you not make me clock out?" I mean, I was only making minimum wage plus 18 cents a mile. I didn't need, and he's like, "Sure." So what I did was I had him make 5 medium pepperoni pizzas, stick them in the bag, and I had to go sell them. So what I did was I just would walk in anywhere. I'd drive over to one part of town where we had a bunch of hotels, and I would just walk in the lobby and say, "Hey, you guys like pizza?" And I mean, I'm dressed as the Domino's guy, so they're either going to say yes or no. "Are you hungry?" "Yes." "Okay, well, I got some extra pizzas here, and I can let you have or medium pepperonis, and I can let you have them for $5 each." Now, inferred in that, they were thinking, "Hey, somebody didn't pick these up.
Right.
Something happened, and he's got these pizzas." You fill in the blanks on your own. I don't care why you think I got them. But the pitch was, "Hey, do you like pizza? Are you hungry? You got $5. Now, the thing was, I had to sell these while they were hot. Nobody buys cold pizza. So in my mind, it's like they're either interested or they're not. I got to keep moving. And so that's when I discovered that if somebody said, "Nah," that, "Hey, you like pizza?" "Nah." "Okay, cool." They're not my target audience. Okay, now if you say, "Hey, you like pizza?" "Yeah." "Are you hungry?" "Nah." "Okay, cool." They're in my target audience, but they don't have a need right now. I mean, I'm not overanalyzing. This was how
that's
I
really good.
broke it. Okay, now
Really good.
you like pizza? You hungry? You got $5? "Oh shit, I don't have any money." "Okay, sorry. I'm gonna keep going. Can somebody loan you $5?" And then when I realized, hey, it's $5, and if you want to give me a tip, see, because I didn't get, I had to tell them, because since they didn't order it, they weren't thinking I should tip this guy. So I would say they're five. I mean, I can let you have it for $5, and if you want to give me a tip, that's cool. And everybody would give me a couple bucks. So now I was making $2 off every pizza every time I was doing this, and I could go through about 5 of them in an hour. So I was making 10, $13 an hour, which back in 1990, $13 an hour was okay. Plus I was getting 18 cents a mile. The point though was that I literally, by doing it, got rid of the fear of asking somebody for money. And it's the same process. Are you in my target audience? Do you like pizza? Do you have a need for what I'm talking about right now? Are you hungry? Do you have $5? Do you have the money to pay for it? Because you can be in my target audience and you can have a need, but if you ain't got any money, I can't help you. So, and then you can ask for a little bit more, order bump, and if you want to give me a tip, that's cool too. I mean, dude, I would do this 100 times a day. And I mean, I got so good at it that I had to be careful not to go back to the same places too often, because then they'd be like, hey, what's going on? So I kind of learned about that too, spacing stuff out. And I realized that it's not only the perfect metaphor for selling, but it's also the perfect metaphor for content marketing, because it's like, not everybody's going to accept what you put out with content marketing. Not everybody's going to take everything. It doesn't mean, they like pizza. They're just not hungry today. They like pizza, but you got something besides pepperoni. There's no rejection in this. It's just understanding the process and doing it over and over and over and over and paying attention. And so that, and then all the other experience I had was how I just got over that fear of rejection, to the point now, honestly, I can call anybody and ask them for anything. I will call anybody and pitch them. But that's because I know how to prepare, and I know that it has nothing to do with me. And it's just, through experience and repetition. And that's ultimately how you get past any fear in sales. Honestly, I think it's, yes, I do like pineapple on pizza. I love Hawaiian pizza. Pineapple, ham, green peppers, and onions, and jalapenos. Oh my God, I could eat a whole one right now. But anyway, that's kind of I kind of went off on a tangent. I don't know if that wasn't interesting at all or whatever, but and I'll tell you one other thing, back to Domino's. One of the things I would do, I had some really messed up thoughts in my life, and still do. That's why I think differently. But I remember, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm driving around delivering pizzas to drunk people, and I'm drinking Diet Coke to stay awake and smoking Marlboro Lights. That's back when I was smoking 2 packs a day. Oof. And I used to think all the time, man, if I could clone myself, if there were 10 of me, there was some way that I could just clone myself and have 10 robots working for me that were making $15 an hour, I could crush it. I'd be rich. And you think about what is content marketing? It's putting these little robots out there that make the perfect pitch every single time. It's what funnels are. That's the whole thing. So my little fantasy actually came true. So anyway, I'm not sure if this was helpful at all, but it's a great therapy session.
No, fear, to get over your fear, and you did it. You actually practiced getting over your fear. Repetition, 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 until it becomes not a fear anymore.
Right.
It actually is like turning a weakness into a strength.
Right.
That it requires some patience, requires some practice, requires some persistence, and it is no longer a weakness.
Do you what are some typical fears in your world
I would say
fitness?
I mean, there's a variety of them, from everything from the physical pain that you have to endure to the not meeting the standard and getting kicked out. And now you're serving for another 3.5 years in a job that you didn't sign up to serve 3.5 years for, which some people look at that as that's too big of a gamble for me to do. That's why I don't do it. So I would say that's probably the number one reason why people don't pull the trigger on that option of preparing themselves better. But you look at it as like, man, I really don't want to do that, so I have to work even harder. So I not only meet the standards, I exceed the standards, and eventually your mantra will become exceeding the standard is the standard, and it's just what you do, and you just have a higher standard for yourself, and you actually can endure it physically and mentally.
Talk about the mantra that you have and how it applies in this area of you can't think about quitting when you're focused on winning.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
I paraphrased it a little bit,
No.
but how does that apply with fear?
Well, once again, setting a higher standard for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Not just, doing things to survive at the minimum level possible. You're actually exceeding that standard. Is getting over a fear of failure, right? Because you're working harder because you don't want to fail. So you are getting over that fear of failure, just like you got over that fear of rejection,
Yeah.
or whatever, it's all the same thing. You put any adjective in there or any noun in there and fear of blank, and it's really the same journey. You have to go higher than the minimum standards. You're going above minimum wage by adding 5 extra pizzas an hour. I'm working extra hard so I can not only meet this standard on a bad day, I can still crush it on a bad day. And on a good day, I am top of the class somewhere, right? Or top 10%. Because in a school or a training program that is an 80% attrition rate, you have to be in the top 20. I mean, just logic tells you that, right? You can't be the worst runner and make it through, from the beginning. You can be the worst runner of the top 20%,
Right.
right? But you've just raised the standard for yourself. Like I said, exceeding the standard is the standard.
What would you say to someone who has a fear of heights? Because there's different physical stuff. What do you tell somebody who's afraid of that 3-tiered slide for life thingy that you have to do on that obstacle course that you have to go like this on and swing up? What do you say to somebody who's afraid of that?
Well, that was me. I mean,
Oh,
I
really?
white knuckled every one of those climbs. I mean, it was something that I legitimately did not like doing.
Okay.
Right. Even that high cargo net, that 3-story high cargo net, when you're crossing over the top to get to the other side, there's a little moment there where you're just, your grip matters.
Strong grips matter.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, that was one of those things. And then, after that, you do that every week for 26 weeks. It's kind of, you get over it, but it was still one of those things that was a little pucker factor. Wasn't horrible like it was at the beginning, but it was something that kind of got your focus a little stronger. Right.
So
And
how did you get yourself to push past that? How did you overcome that fear? Just weigh the fear against everything else you'd lose if you didn't do this one thing?
You know what I did is I started, they timed you no matter what. So if you could get a better time, right, you wouldn't have to go get wet and sandy. So there was a benefit for me to just get over that obstacle versus tippy toe through it and try to, go too slow or be scared and stop and catch my breath. The goal was just to get through it as fast as possible, because if you could come back faster than you were the previous week, you got less pain on the back end. Right. Okay. So there was a reward benefit reward process to it. And I think if you can find ways to benefit yourself after getting over those fears, that's a really good thought process to help you get over them. You know, I mean, I used to throw up before every jump out of an airplane. I mean, nerves were just never enjoyed it. Never enjoyed jumping until I was on the ground. I did it over 50, 60 times, but never enjoyed jumping out of an airplane.
Okay. Well, I mean,
so heights were an issue, but you get over them.
So, it's interesting when we're talking about sales and reward and stuff, if you focus on what you get when you take the action, when you risk the rejection and you realize that there is no rejection, that they can reject your idea, but they can't reject you. But then you pay attention to the reward of like, hey, when I do this, I make money. And hey, when I do this, I make more money than I did working for my job. Hey, you know what? I ain't worried about this. I'm gonna keep on going. So that's a great point of focusing on that reward, and that takes the fear. It separates the fear. It makes the fear a lot less important. It might not go away completely, and you might have to practice and warm up and stuff. Like, if I had to go knock on people's doors to make money again, like if I had to go sell vacuum cleaners or sell something door to door, I could do it. But one of the things that I would do differently now than I did then is I would take some time to really work on my pitch, my presentation. I would break everything down into the approach, the hook, the all of the things that I didn't do before, where it's just kind of like bull in the china shop approach. Now I would take a minute to size up everything and think. Like, another good example, when Terry and I first got married, we moved to Florida, and I had done really well in the mortgage business here in Virginia, in the Williamsburg, Newport News area. I was doing really well. I mean, I was 23 years old, made $138,000 in 18 months, had my own house, had, paid for Acura. I mean, I had $400 suits. I had it going on. I was still smoking 2 packs a day. And I was miserable to an extent, but I had never been making money. So making money made me happy until I met Terry. And then I realized there was more to life. And then I soon became unhappy with the 14-hour days. But we decided we were going to move to Florida right after we got married. And I went down to Florida and just crashed and burned.
Ouch.
Just crashed and burned. And I was trying to do the marketing the same way I had done it in Williamsburg, but I had forgotten that in Williamsburg, it took me about a year to really get going, and I had developed a lot of relationships. And the relationships were what got me the results. So I thought I could go down and just duplicate it real fast, and I couldn't. But what I could have done and what I should have done was, instead of just walking around being like everybody else, there's a lesson here. Okay, instead of just walking around and being like everybody else, I should have found a unique loan product or a unique angle or a unique type of buyer that I could instantly become the expert in, so that when I went in with an angle, not I'm the same as everybody else and you should choose me because I'm a nice person or I'll pay to sponsor your open house. But if you have a buyer that looks like this, I'm your guy, because all the other ones can't do this. And there's plenty of them. There's plenty of them. I just didn't take the time to try to have a unique selling proposition. And nobody did. Nobody does. Everybody's doing everything the same way, plus or minus, as everybody else. And that's why everybody plus or minus gets the same results. And every once in a while, you see somebody come along that shocks the world. And the reason they do that is because they have a different angle. They have a different perspective. They come at it differently. And that's something that I have instinctively done, especially over the last 15 years, of what's going to make this different than everything else that's out there, because I never want to be the same as everybody else. And that's how you can avoid the rejection, because you're the only game in town. Anyway, just random thoughts.
I saw a Facebook user question, said, has Stu written a book on what he learned as a SEAL? Just curious. I have not, but I've written some articles on something similar to that, and I can kind of answer it in a sentence. I learned that your body is 10 times stronger than your brain will let it be.
Yeah.
You almost have to disassociate that thinking part of your brain that's telling you to, why are you doing this to yourself?
Right.
You know,
don't go out too fast, because we still have to make it back.
Right.
Have you noticed that usually you're running faster on the way back than on the way out? Because on the way out, subconsciously, you're conserving energy.
Yeah. It's like I said, our brain is filled with survival skills that creep into our, conscious thought, quite often. But I think you learn how to, disengage that sometimes. And it was, that would be that in a nutshell. But no, I have not written something like that. Also learned that you can't get through on your own. It requires teamwork. So,
yeah.
But
cool.
Yeah.
Well, any other thoughts on our F word theme today?
Just remember, fear is a survival skill, right? It is there to keep you alive, right? But to go past that, you have to get over that. You actually have to consciously push yourself to get through it. And, eventually you'll take that other F word that you're scared of, and that's failure. And you'll take that and reframe that to a point of, it's a learning experience. It's not a failure. You're not a failure because something didn't work right, or you made a bad decision. You are learning from that, and you will be stronger because of it, and you'll be better because of it.
And it's interesting. You made me just think of something. One of the things that I picked up along the way too is that if somebody else can achieve the result, I'm pretty confident that I can do it. So if I'm afraid of something, but I know that others have been able to do it, then by studying them and seeing how they did what they did, a lot of times that'll help alleviate your fears. At least some of your fears, because it can be done and it won't kill you.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
And that's where mentorship comes in, and, asking the right questions of people who've been there and done that, and you can learn from some of their mistakes. Absolutely. And avoid them as well. So
cool. All right. Well, great job, Stu. And if all of you are interested, you should be in joining the Sales Copywriting Content Marketing Hacks group on Facebook. You can join us there. Also, real quick, if you want to avoid the fear that your sales copy is not good enough, get yourself a copy of Copywriting Secrets at copywritingsecrets.com. I will teach you the benefit of my 20 plus years of experience writing sales letters that get people to send you money and do all kinds of cool stuff, like sign up for your list and go on cruises with you. And
so maybe why don't we do this next week? I've already downloaded Think and Grow Rich, so we can have a book report next week
from you.
We can discuss it.
Okay, cool. I don't have time to read the damn thing between now and then, but
you've read it before. Everybody in the group's read it before. It made me feel like, well, I miss out on something.
I've read it twice. So cool. It's actually in the public domain.
Yeah. I just saw it.
Cool. All right. Well, we will talk about Think and Grow Rich next week. Awesome.
You betcha.
So great job, Stu. And if people want to overcome their fear of nachos and overcome their fear of living without nachos, what can you do to help them get into better shape? Where can they go?
Well, they can go to StuSmithFitness.com.
All right. And remember,
find me there.
Fit people buy fitness books. Unfit people don't. So the the first step to being fit is to buy one of Stu's books. So everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.